अष्टोदश श्रीमद शिला अभय चरणारिंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद भागवतम की जय। निताय गौ प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees, Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Today we'll be reading from Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Status Quo, Chapter 26, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. Today we'll be doing text number 38, 39 and 40. Yep. Yes, 38, 39 and 40. So what the way we'll do is we will do one shloka translation purport, then next shloka translation purport, and then after that we will get into our conversation. So we'll all do Mangal Charan. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaheyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utha Padakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vangsha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavad Sevayat Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Text 38. Vayoscha sparshatan matrad Rupam deveritadabhut Sammutitam tatastejas Chakshurupo phalambhanam Vayoscha sparshatan matrad Rupam deveritadabhut Sammuthitam tatastejas Chakshurupo phalambhanam. Vaishnavas.
Vayoscha sparshatan matra
Vayoscha sparshatan matra Rupam deveritadabhut Sammutitam tatastejas Chakshurupo phalambhanam. Matra Rupam deveritadabhut Buddhitam tatastejas Rupo phalambhanam. Vayoscha sparshatan matra Rupam deveritadabhut Muditam tatastejas Rupo phalambhanam. Vayoscha sparshatan matra Rupam deveritadabhut Sammuthitam tatastejas Chakshurupo phalambhanam. Vayoscha sparshatan matrat Rupam deveritadabhut Sammutitam tatastejas Chakshurupo phalambhanam. Word for word. Vayoho, from air. Cha, and. Sparshatan matra, which evolves from the subtle element touch. Rupam, form. Deve iritad, according to destiny. Abhut, evolved. Sammutitam, arose. Tata, from that. Tejaha, fire. Chakshuhu, sense of sight. Rupa, color and form. Upalambanam, receiving. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnar Vrind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. By interactions of the air and the sensations of touch, one receives different forms according to destiny. By evolution of such forms, there is fire, and the eyes see different forms and color. Purport. Because of destiny, the touch sensation, the interaction of air, and the situation of the mind, which is produced of the ethereal element, one receives a body according to his previous activities. Needless to say, a living entity transmigrates from one form to another. His form changes according to destiny and by the arrangement of a superior authority which controls the interaction of air and the mental situation. Form is the combination of different types of sense perception. Predestined activities are the plans of the mental situation and the interaction of air. Text 39. Dravyat krititvam gunata vyakti samsthavatam. Vyakti samsthatvam evacha tejastvam tejasa sadvi rupa matrasya vrittaya. Translation. My dear mother, the characteristics of form are understood by dimension, quality, and individuality. The form of fire is appreciated by its effulgence. Purport. Every form that we appreciate has its particular dimensions and characteristics. The quality of a particular object is appreciated by its utility. But the form of sound is independent. Forms which are invisible can be understood only by touch. That is the independent appreciation of invisible form. Visible forms are understood by analytical study of their constitution. The constitution of a certain object is appreciated by its internal action. For example, the form of salt is appreciated by the interaction of salty tastes, and the form of sugar is appreciated by the interaction of sweet tastes. Taste and qualitative constitution are the basic principles in understanding the form of an object. Text 40. Dhyotanam pachanam panam adanam himamardhanam tejaso vritayastveta shoshanam kstutridevcha. Translation. Fire is appreciated by its light and by its ability to cook, to digest, to destroy cold, to evaporate, and to give rise to hunger, thirst, eating, and drinking. Purport. The first symptom of fire are distribution of light and heat. And the existence of fire is also perceived in the stomach. Without fire, we cannot digest what we eat. Without digestion, there is no hunger and thirst or power to eat and drink. When there is insufficient hunger and thirst, it is understood that there is shortage of fire within the stomach. And the Ayurvedic treatment is performed in connection with the fire element, Agni Mandhyam. Since fire is increased by the secretion of bile, the treatment is to increase bile secretion. The Ayurvedic treatment thus corroborates the statement in Srimad Bhagavatam. The characteristic of fire is subduing the influence of cold is known to everyone. Severe cold can always be counteracted by fire. Just in time for winter. Jai. So here, in a situation which is very cozy. So why we say cozy? Because there is a mother and a son that are discussing. Right? Very cozy, very secluded, very quiet area. Right? The discussion of how material creation is formed is taking place. That's amazing, isn't it? So here we are now talking about the blob. So when we say blob means the Hiranyagarbha, the golden egg, right? That is this material universe. When it forms, it has these various principles that cover this form. this Hiranyagarbha, this golden egg. So that those layers that cover this golden egg is being described here. Right? So the golden egg, which is our universe, is covered by the elements. Right? By earth, water, fire, air, ether. Each layer 10 times bigger than the previous. And finally, all of that is covered with mind, intelligence, and in the top, ahankara, which is pretty much mahato pradhan. Right? So this is the layering that is being covered. So we are starting from the top, and we are now going to zoom down. Right? So that's what's happening. So whenever we see this creative principle, we can think of it as a sandwich. Right? Sandwich is very simple. Sandwich has 3 parts. It has the base, it has the top, and then it has the filling in between. Right? That's a sandwich. Very simple. So the base is mode of ignorance. Right? And this mode of ignorance of a sandwich is very important because the sandwich is held by the base. Right? If any one of you ever made a sandwich, you first put a bread down, and that bread is now going to hold everything you put on top of it. Yes? So this base of the sandwich, right, this is mode of ignorance. And from this come the tanmatras. Right? Krishna tells Arjuna, Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkada agama pahino nitya tam titikshava bharata. Somebody has locked himself. I think they're locked. No, I think they're locked. In Pujari room. Okay. Gopinath has locked up. No, that's all right. Is it locked or he's checking? Yeah. No, that's what. So I think he's locked. So I think he'll have to. Is this? I think someone will have to go tell the Pujari to come from this side. Anyway, okay. Oh, they're pulling the key from the... Oh, sorry, I thought it was locked. Okay, Jai. Jai, thank you, Prabhu. Okay, back to this. So, in the base of the sandwich is made by these tanmatras, and Krishna is telling Arjuna, Matra sparshastu kaunteya. He says, my dear Arjuna, when you are touched by these matras, by this material manifestation, the sparsha, that taste that you get, O Kaunteya, Sitoshna Sukha Dukkhada. It's like summer and winter, right? Happiness and sadness. Right now we can feel, the winter is coming. We can feel that slowly the weather is changing. We can feel this sparsha. So Matra sparshastu Kaunteya, Sitoshna Sukha Dukkhada. Right? And then what is Krishna further telling Arjuna? Agama Pahino Nitya. It is coming and going eternally. Tam titikshava bharata. You please stay patient. So, in actuality, when the sages would go to the forests, they were not going for peace and tranquility. They were actually going there to really, learn tolerance. Of course, when we go to foresty area, we are going for peace and harmony. Peace and harmony in all the world. I remember as a kid they used to sing, right? So we are actually looking for peace and harmony within this material manifestation. But that is not the case. Krishna is telling Arjuna that simply when this matra just touches you, you touch, now you're feeling, oh, it's cold. See, just one touch, Sita and Ushna. You're feeling, oh, Sita, I'm feeling a little cold here. See, just by small touch, you're touching something saying, oh, this is neutral. Simple touch, sparsha. He says, now you're feeling Sita, Ushna, Sukha, Dukha. Oh, I'm very happy. I'm holding this. Why? Because I'm speaking into the mic. You're thinking, why he's speaking. So you see, same object, but because now it is under my control, I'm feeling very nice. I'm feeling happiness. You're thinking, oh, I don't have the mic. I'm feeling sad. You see how it works? Amazing, isn't it? Sita, Ushna. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that this base of the sandwich, these tanmatras, they are the ones that are causing the problem. This base of the sandwich is what is building our identity. Right? We are all, every single one here identifies himself as this body. I am this body. Why? If somebody hits you, I'll be like, hey, don't hit him. Right? That's all I feel. I don't feel anything more than that. Hey, don't hit him. You hit me, I'll be like, hey, don't hit me, but I'm now feeling very bad. You hit me. You see? So when it comes to me, I feel more. When it's to others, I feel detached. I'm like, hey, don't do. You should not do these things. Right? So when it comes to me, I feel so attached. And why am I feeling this attachment? Because of the base of the sandwich, which are the tanmatras. And so here the tanmatras are being described. It starts with the sound vibration. What is that sound? What is that sound? That sound starts from the Hare Krishna mantra. The Hare Krishna mantra comes into the ear of Brahma. And from the ear of Brahma, it translates into Gayatri. And then that Gayatri expounds into the Vedas. Right? This is all described in Brahma Samhita. All of this wonderful expansion is described. Right? So that sound vibration is coming. Then Brahma is agitated and he starts, saying the Gayatri mantra. From that, this creative process, when we are talking now is the gross creative process. This is in the secondary creation. But to do the secondary creation from Brahma, to create this table, there must be a concept of wood. The concept of wood must be there for this table to be created. So that concept of wood is what we are discussing here, that concepts. Right? So this is from Vishnu. This is Vairaja Brahma that is being described. Right? In case you're thinking what is being described, this is the Vairaja Brahma that is being described. So this form here, this base of the sandwich, from sound we get space. Because there must be sound, because an object must travel, there must be a medium. That medium becomes space. Waves go in space. Right? All waves travel in space. Most of the telescopes now, I think a couple of months ago, a new telescope was thrown up in the air by our great scientists. They're saying we will now do radiology, through radio waves. We will learn more about the universe. But how much can you learn about the universe? The telescope is pointing at one dot in the universe. The universe is this big. How much can you learn about the universe? It's not possible. It's not possible to learn about the universe. It's too big. But scientists are trying because, if you don't have Krishna to learn about, you have to learn about something. You have to learn about something. Right? So we are trying to understand the cook who is making the sandwich. That is we want to know this cook. Who is that cook who's made this sandwich? They are interested in the sandwich. So the scientists want to know the sandwich. Okay, which bread is this? Okay. But then they can't see the whole bread. They're seeing the one sesame seed in the bread. And they're thinking, oh yes, the sesame seed. Right? So that's the problem. Right? So that's it. It's just a question of vision. Everybody is looking for something. Right? Yeah, you remember the opening of Krishna book? What is the opening of Krishna book written? Everyone is searching for Krishna. Some know it, most don't. George Harrison, right? He writes the opening of Krishna book. Very nice opening. Very nice. I really like it. Everyone's looking for Krishna. Kothai Krishna, Kothai Krishna. But then if you don't want to see Krishna, then okay, now you see Krishna in his hidden form. So that is the tanmatra. So base sandwich. So sound will create space. From space, that evolution will take into here. Well, what is it? Touch. Now that there is space, you can get touch. Right? And from touch, you will get air. Now, if you remember, the first creative principle is that when there is time and when air forms. So first time should form. Okay? Then there is space, then there is air. Now with this combination, what does Shambhu do? He starts agitating. He starts agitating what? Pradhanas. Come on, shake up, wake up. Let's start creating this universe. Right? That's the creative process. That's the shake. So air. Once air comes in, what do we get from air? Form. Now air has come. Now form is going to come out. And from form will come fire. If there is form, there is fire. Right? So, now you can appreciate that why is it that when we do yagya, the process of yagya, we look at Krishna as the yagya Purusha. He is the ultimate form. Right? And form in its most subtlest position is described as fire. You understanding why in our worship, then that fire becomes very important. Because that formation of fire, that is Krishna. That is Yagya Purush. That is Sweta Varaha. Right? So Sweta Varaha form, he is the Yagya Purusha. Right? So then he is that form that we see. And that is fire. So this is the base, right? And then as you will go, then you will get, from this, from form, you will then get taste. And from taste, you will finally get, I forgot earth. What is earth? Smell. Thank you. Smell. Then now all the sense objects have formed, and all the elements that will help the sense objects have now been created. These are the Tanmatras. You got? Now the Tanmatras have formed. So now the subtle position of all of these have occurred. Base of the sandwich. Then the top of the sandwich will come. The Devas will come. Right? So, I remember a lot of Devas are there. I remember some, for leg, it is Upendra, Vamana Dev. Easy to remember because Vamana Dev used his 3 legs. So, 3 steps, sorry, not 3 legs, 3 steps. So then you will remember that, the Deva for that is Upendra. So you remember these things, right? For sight is Surya. These things are easy to remember. Right? So like this, all the Devas will now come. They are now the top of the sandwich. Right? And then mind. Right? The mind forms. This is top of the sandwich. Then the filling of the sandwich, the real thing, are the actual senses and intelligence. This is now your sandwich that has been created. This is the universe. This universe, now Garbhodakshai Vishnu will enter. Right? So that's how this creative process takes place. So here, right, we are, Srila Prabhupada is focusing on, when I say Srila Prabhupada means Kapila Muni, and Srila Prabhupada is describing the focus on fire. Right now, it is very nicely explained. By the interaction of air and the sensation of touch, right, we get our body. We get our body. The body that you're seeing, right, is created by these 2 things. That's why you'll see in Bhagavad Gita that beautiful example is given of the aroma in the air. How, the soul changes from one body to the other. That beautiful example is given that just like aroma in the air moves, similarly the soul will move from one body to the other. These examples are given because that's actually how it works. Right? This is exactly how it works. The interaction of air with the sensation of touch will now create the next body. That is why Ayurveda focuses a lot on the 49 airs. Vayu. Right? Vayu, the air, Ayu is derived from that. Ayurveda means talking how you can live your life. But how do you live your life? From understanding how the Vayus form. How the 49 airs take place. So in Ayurveda, we focus on the 49 airs. Then as you start going outside, then you see Chinese. Chinese don't focus much on the air. They focus, I think more on the environment. And then as you keep going outer and outer, so then, homeopathy, naturopathy, Chinese herbal medicine, then you start seeing, then they all start focusing on different aspects. They focus on different aspects. But we focus on the first and main element, which is air. Right? So that is why Ayurveda is considered the highest when it comes to medicine. Of course, now it's not. Now allopathy is considered highest, which is fine. But actually, when you look at the positioning of medicine, Ayurveda is considered the highest. Because it is dealing with the base element, which is air. So space, Akasha, that you are seeing here, is the holder of air. Okay, is the holder of air, it is the holder of fire, it is the holder of water, it is the holder of earth. Space. Right? All atoms, whenever we use the term atom, right? Atoms are air, fire, earth, and water. These are the atoms. These are the qualities of the atom. Right? And all of these atoms are held in space. Right? So space is the container that holds these atoms. Right? Scientists have calculated, I think it's 10 to the power of some 120 or something. I don't remember the exact number. But that to the power of another, I think 120, that's the number of atoms in this universe. So they have actually given a calculation of number of atoms. There's an actual calculation that they have provided. Right? So they have a view on how many atoms. The question of what are these atoms? These 4 elements are the atoms. Right? And the subtlest of all of these elements is air. Okay, air is the subtlest form of this. And so Ayurveda's focus is on how to fix air in one's body. Right? That is its aim. Srila Prabhupada in text 40, he then starts focusing on how air can be regulated to help the body. Right? So that is, that is the reason why Ayurveda is so focused on air. Because air is what, with the sensation of touch, these 2 things creates the body. Like whenever, a child is formed in the womb, right? First, the womb, once the zygote is there, it starts expanding. Air, it starts pushing out space, and then air starts forming around it. Right? And then with that, then the body of the baby starts growing. So space is considered very vital for our understanding. That is why in previous yugas, gurukuls and education was done out in the open, under a tree. Why? Because it should be done in maximum expansion, in air. Maximum space is given. But nowadays, if you see the apartments, right? One person is living on top of someone else's head. If you just imagine an apartment, you just look at an apartment, you're like, here is one human being, another human being is living on top of them, another. So space is being crunched. And because space is getting crunched, we are becoming more stressed. To de-stress, we need space. That is why now people are going to forests, retreat centers. Because they want more space. Because space is what allows you to expand. Right? Sometimes you may be thinking, I'm very stressed. What do? You step out of the situation. Right? Because then you can think, you feel, okay, I'm de-stressed, I'm relaxing. So space is very vital. Similarly, air is very vital for us to function within this body. Very vital. And so it is said that how does one control one's air? That if you keep Ayurdharati Vaipumsam, right? It's a very beautiful shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam, that if you are able to read Bhagavatam, then for the time you're reading Bhagavatam, your age is not impacted. Right? Those breaths you take don't impact your age. So, if you want to live forever, keep reading Bhagavatam. Keep serving Bhagavatam. You will live a long life. Practical life. So, this here is explaining how Vayoscha Sparsha Tan Matrad. That now that the Vayu has touched, right, the formation of touch is there, Rupam Deveri Tadabhut. Now form is taking place. And how is form coming? Through Daiva Netrena. So each and every one of us here has a body. Why do we have this body? How did we get this body? Daiva Netrena. It's our destiny. It is what we have been prescribed. This form has been prescribed to us. Now we may go about changing it. We may decide to change our form. We may go to a doctor and say, change my nose, change my eyes. You can go. We can try to change this form. But what we then have to understand, that is against what is our destiny. This is our destiny. Right? Now, many may question, in at least in modern science, do you have to live with your destiny, or can you not change it? Can you not change your destiny? Yes, you can. But the way to change it is through doing, good activities. Not by physically changing something and continuing to, continuing to probably, hurt planet Earth by being a meat eater, by being an exploiter of this earth. That is not the way to change one's destiny. Better way to change destiny is to change one's karma. So this Daiva Netrena, this Rupa that we have got, it is under destiny that we have gotten. If we try to push beyond it, right? If we try to say, no, I wish to change my destiny, for that we are going to need a bit more than just a surgical knife. Right? That is something that modern science is probably struggling with. Nowadays there are a lot of, in US there is a lot of conversation happening about, gender change procedures. Nowadays they are very big in US. They are having a lot of debate on people are willing to change their genders through physical procedures. So in psychology they are right now contemplating whether this change of the physical is still helping one mentally. Mentally is it still helping you? So in United States right now there's a big debate going on this matter. Right? So from Shastra we can understand that sometimes one gets a particular body is destined. Changing the physical nature of that body will not change the karmic the karmic reactions that we get. So we have to be a bit careful there. Sammutitam tatatas tejas, right? Chakshu rupo phalam bhanam. So it is saying that once this form is there, now your eyes can see that. So your eye is able to see form. So once fire comes, eye comes. From sound comes ear, from touch, air comes skin, and then from fire, which is form, comes the eye. Right? So now you have the object, which is form. You have the medium, which is fire. Now you have the receiver of all of this, which is the eye. Right? Amazing, right? How detailed this formation is. When you look at this one, what is this thing called? The survival of the fittest. The Darwinism theory. They have come, they have tried to explain how eye is formed. They're trying to explain. So they are saying that, well, there is one worm, which has a small cavity. So, if you see that cavity, based on the fact that the worm has a cavity, and then it is able to feel some light, that's how eye formed. So, bit of a stretch. But believe this or not, this is accepted science. If you're thinking I'm making this up, I'm not. This is accepted science. This is an accepted science of how eye has formed within Darwinism theory. Like the modern theory that is taught in school. This is really how it is formed. So in one sense, you can appreciate what they're saying, right? You can see here that the eye forms because there is light and because there is form, so eye comes. So they are within the track. They are within track of thinking the right way, right? But actually the object itself forms first. And it is explained while in science they look at evolution as the process, like there is a germ, from germ you become human, right? That's the evolution process. When we will read here in Bhagavatam, actually it's a devolutionary process. It is the human beings, people like Kashyapa Muni, who will have wives who will then create snakes, trees. So it is a devolutionary process, not an evolutionary process. It's not the germ that created the human. It is the human that creates the germs and everybody. So it is actually Kashyapa Muni that actually gives rise to all of these species. The 8.4 million species. He is the one that's propagating them. Right? So it's a process that has started from a human and gone downwards. But whereas in science it's the other, they ramp upwards. Which is alright. I mean that is how they view it. So this rupa, this formation of rupa is what creates the eye. And the amazing thing of all of our senses, if you observe every sense we have, it is always outward facing. Because it wants to touch the material manifestation. Your eye looks outwards. Right? If you want to look inside, you have to go to a psychologist. What is happening inside? Yes. Then you have to go to doctor and he will put an MRI scanner to see what is going inside you, or an X-ray. Because all the senses we have cannot figure out what is going on inside. It's amazing, isn't it? We have all these wonderful senses and we can't sense what is happening inside. Because they are all external facing. The only one which is a bit inside is the mind. The mind can, you are feeling, I'm not feeling good. They're like, no, but you're looking okay. No, something is wrong. I'm not feeling right. Right? So the mind is able to tell you that something is off. Right? Something is not right. So if you're chanting, and then yogis obviously, if one is chanting, one is meditating, then yogis, with the help of mind, they're able to understand what is wrong with their own body. And they're able to fix themselves. Right? So you have that ability if you want to. But of course, when we are chanting, we don't want to waste our time too much on this. We want to just get out of this material. That's enough. Enough of all this tanmatras. This base of the sandwich. I've had it. I don't want the sandwich. Thank you for making, oh Krishna, nice sandwich. Please give to others. I don't want the sandwich. I want to be with you. Right? So this is our desire. So and we touched a little bit on text 39 where, we didn't actually. But in 39 it is talking about how the form has dimension, quality and individuality. Three wonderful, qualities. Right? And if I'm just going to read the Sanskrit. Akrititvam is dimension, gunata is quality, and vyakti samsthatvam is individuality. So form, when you get form, it is individual. This form that gets created, this table is an individual table. It's one. Right? Although it's, you'll be like, oh well, it's dead. There's no soul in it. Yep. But it has its own individual qualities. Right? The slight mark here, the slight, fudge here, that's unique. It's not with anybody. It's amazing that, one scientist actually looked at leaves, leaves. And he was saying leaves have so many patterns, right? The vein patterns. And he thought that he should be able to, based on, probability, get two leaves that have similar patterns. Like, when I say similar, I mean same patterns. So he's gone through the process. He did quite a lot of research on this. And finally he said that even when you get something which is 99% the same, there is something, that one thing that is slightly different. So you're not able to get 100%. So that vyakti samsthavatam, that individuality exists even at that level, even at a dead leaf. Right? It's unique. So it's quite amazing. Right? So when Bhagavatam is telling you that there is that individuality, we should appreciate it. So, we should appreciate it. Right? And so these characteristics are all coming out from fire. So fire helps to build that individuality. Right? And of course the qualities and the dimension of the object. Sorry, I'm looking at time, so I'm trying to finish this. And then in text 40, it is explained that fire itself, it has the ability to cook, to digest, to destroy cold, to evaporate, and to give rise to hunger, thirst, eating and drinking. So this last part is important, that the Jataragni, if our fire is not working properly, there will be a problem. Things are not going to work nicely for us. Right? So this hunger, thirst, eating and drinking, this thing is actually built on the fact that our metabolism is functioning nicely. Right? So this is the internal fire. Right? So we'll end here because I think we are running over time. The devotees want to share something quickly. Otherwise, I think we are pretty much over time today.
Next 38 mentions Sparsha Tanmatra. It's translated as which evolves from the subtle element.
Yep.
You also mentioned that Tanmatra. So you're talking about the evolving nature.
No. Tan matras are the elements. So the sense object, the element that allows the sense object to function, and then the object that receives the sense object. Those are the tan matras. That combination is the tan matra. Tana meaning body, matra meaning how you are able to sense something. So that's tan matra.
What's the whole idea of giving so much detail knowledge?
No, his mother asked, so he's giving. So to your point, would you tell this to somebody new? No. Definitely no. But his mother is highly qualified. And so she is asked a qualifying question. And he knows the answer, so he will give it. Yeah, that's why I was stepping back to say, if you actually look at the situation, it's a very cozy situation. There's just, mother with her son, right? And then they're discussing this.
And why is such a philosophy we should learn to appreciate emotions? Is that the
yeah. Yes. We are trying to appreciate the sandwich Krishna has created. That's what we are trying to appreciate. And the thing here is that for all our practical purposes, we are dealing with the material world. For every practical purpose, like I'm dealing with everything here, material. Right? But yes, our focus would we as devotees want our focus to shift to the baker, to the main person who's doing the work, which is Krishna. So we want to understand him. We want to understand less about the material manifestation. The scientists understand this a lot. They spend years, PhDs and lifetimes understanding. So for a conversation with a scientist, this is good thing to know. At least when you are in universities, these things are good things to know. But then to your point, is this something that will allow me to build on my Krishna consciousness? Yeah, in some sense. At least if it's preaching, why not? For preaching, yes. For personal application, probably not. But for preaching, yes. And definitely, when it comes to the concept of Ayurveda, where we are talking about hunger, thirst, eating, like in winters what happens is, I don't know how many of you notice, the back of your mouth starts drying up a little bit, your nose starts drying up because too much heater is running, or we are sitting in the quilt too much, right? So then what you'll start noticing is that your heat is disbalanced, your body heat has disbalanced. So that's why all these things are happening. So there is some practical application for the body, which is Ayurveda. But yeah, we try to keep light on this knowledge. But I would encourage devotees to do PhDs on this. Right? If that is your course, please go ahead, do PhD on all of this. This is amazing stuff. Alright? That's it. Granth Sahib Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Yeah.